Secretary Fox, welcome to Sydney. Just like to start just on Brexit at the moment. I mean, what have been your concerns about the way the Brexit negotiations have actually progressed so far?
Well, we want to move further. We want to move into the second stage, which is to know what the end state will be of our trading relationship with Europe. That's in the interests of the European Union, it's in the interests of the United Kingdom. It's also in the interests of our trading partners and global investors who want to know what the relative market access will be in both directions. So the quicker we can get into those negotiations, the better for everybody.
Now, the UK has compromised on certain issues. Looks like you're coming back for the divorce bill. You'll be making potential compromise on that. Also on the European Commission during a transition period. Is it time for the EU to compromise on some of their issues?
Well, we've made progress on the areas that we said we would on European citizens' rights, on the Irish border question, and on the financial implications of our withdrawal. We believe that we've gone far enough to be able to get into those second stage. Remember, we're almost getting into 2018 and we're leaving in March 2019. So we need to make progress now because time is getting short.
It almost seems that the Irish government are holding up a lot of the Brexit negotiations and not looking to make a deal on the border there, and same with the EU backing the Irish Parliament on that front. I mean, what's your message to both the EU and the Irish government on that?
Well, we've made our position very clear that we don't want to have a hard border between Northern Ireland and the Irish Republic. We want to make sure that the Good Friday Agreement is maintained, but we've also made clear that we're leaving the single market and the customs union. The whole of the United Kingdom is leaving, not just parts of it. So we need to work against that political reality.
If it comes to a stage where the free trade deal doesn't progress, the negotiations don't start progressing, does the UK need a free trade deal with the EU to actually be successful in the future?
Well, we want there to be an agreement, and we want an open, liberal, comprehensive agreement to maintain market access and to ensure that we don't have any impediments to trade and investment that don't exist today. So we want to work towards that agreement. We think it's in the interests of the prosperity and well-being of the people of Europe. But we're not afraid not to get an agreement. We could trade on WTO terms with the EU as we do with the United States, for example, at the present time. So we want to get it, but we're not afraid of not getting it.
And just quickly turning to Australian issues here, the UK has been very open in saying that they wanted a free trade agreement with Australia. How quickly do you see that progressing after you've left the single market?
Well, we've had a working group that's focusing on that, really operating since 2016. We're looking through the issues involved. We can't implement any new trade agreement while we're still in the European Union, and we're still discussing what an implementation period might look like after we left. But what we would certainly want to do would be able to negotiate and sign agreements in any transition or implementation period. I think that's only fair, and that's the understanding that the Australian government have from us, and they have been very relaxed and very understanding about that.
Do the EU know about, I suppose, the finer details that have been going on with the working group, given that you still are part of the European Union?
Well, we've been very open with the European Union. We tell them when we've set up our working groups, they're not secret. They know, for example, that we've got our 4 strands of working groups with the United States. I've spoken personally to the EU Commissioner about that. But of course, as we move towards leaving the European Union itself, it's only reasonable that we should take more time to think about our future trading relationships, both bilaterally, but also in some of the more complex but important elements, such as the Trade and Services Agreement that Australia co-chairs and that we think is a very important aspect of giving us greater liberalisation of global services. So there are big challenges. We'll meet some of those at the ministerial meeting in Buenos Aires. We'll set out further ideas in Davos at the World Economic Forum. We've got the Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting in April, and we've got the G20. So we're not going to be short of stopping off points to set out our ideas.